Starting. Okay. Technically, we're live. I'm Michael Martinez of Reflective Dynamics. I write the SEO Theory blog, and I'm here with Kent Yunk of Roaring Pajamas SEO. He does not write the SEO Theory blog, but he's written on the SEO Theory blog. And I think this is a first for us. This is a week since we recorded our last Hangout chat session. So,
yes, Kent. Very exciting. Hello, Michael, and I understand you're preparing for a winter storm, so
it is freaking cold outside. Very cold and wet. It's going to start sleeting. We've got snow. So.
Yep, I think it's pretty much going to shut down the whole Northeast, right?
Hold on a second. I've got the Hangout playing in my ear. I keep forgetting to turn those off. So we had a very busy week that I don't want to talk about. I guess for 2 days, all the headlines have been Oracle, Google, and Apple, and billions of dollars. So all I want to say about that, I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but all I want to say about that is, looks like Google thought they could make a profit, and maybe they did. But I just don't think of the Apple iOS user base as, a huge number of people. So most of us are not going to make money off that crowd.
Really? Okay.
I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't.
Well, it's certainly not the business I'm in. So
I know iOS users, and almost all of them have other tools and operating systems. So I'm not sure how exclusive they are. Maybe there's a hardcore multi-millionaire exclusive iOS user base that somehow stumbled into money despite being stupid. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So Kent and I were chatting earlier before we started recording about a couple of things, and he mentioned something that sparked an idea in my head. Kent, you brought up, where is SEO going? Is mobile going to dominate it? ComScore, I saw a Search Engine Land article today, I think, that the latest ComScore search marketing estimates, and they say that Google has lost 1 billion queries per month since 2014, which is not a whole lot, or maybe it's 1 billion queries per day, I don't remember. And mobile queries are still higher than desktop queries. So what that really says is desktop search is still very strong. Only a small fraction of it has moved over to mobile search, and most of the mobile search queries are queries that we would not have done on desktop before, for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there are many reasons, lots of things to search for now that simply didn't exist 2 years ago. And so why don't you reiterate what you were saying to me about SEO and mobile and all that?
Maybe. Well, I think the feedback that I'm getting from a number of folks is that so much of the paid portion of the mobile search space is being taken up with ads, right? So you have to really scroll to get to an organic result, and I don't think that fares well for SEOs, just because it certainly muddies the water about what is an authentic result. And I think personally, the search engines very much want to move toward a pay-to-play game anyway, so that they know that everything that shows up in the SERP, somebody clicks on it, they get paid. So, and frankly, I'm not sure that I would feel any different if that was the business I was in. And I used to be in that business when I worked for Ask.com. So yes, we cared very much about, how much it was paid on the page and how much revenue, a click would drive. And we didn't do it. There were other divisions that did impression-based ads, but we were doing all click ads. So, but I think the concern I have is that I could certainly learn how to do paid search consulting, but it's really I've spent most of my career sort of learning the organic side, and I'm hoping that we're not moving in a direction industry-wise where the organic results will no longer be valid, and that it'll all be paid play.
Yeah, I've done paid search, and I don't enjoy it. There are people who do enjoy it. It's a different kind of challenge from what I like to work on. And so I don't think that it's the wave of the future, but I have noticed over the last 2 years that a lot of so-called SEO job descriptions are actually, they include
paid.
And I get the impression the paid part is more important to them, to the employers, than the organic part, because you can measure performance much more easily with a paid advertising platform than you can with, here's how many links I got this month and how many articles we published. It's not easy to measure organic SEO success. And so that leads me to, let me tell you a couple of things. One, this new browser, Brave, that waved to Melanie for me.
Melanie, Michael says hello.
So, Brave is the new browser of the future, right? I was digging into it a little bit. It's like vaporware at the moment. I guess you can download some of the source files on GitHub, but they're promising that it'll be faster than current browsers, and they'll fix the advertising problem for everybody, and they'll increase your privacy. And so the way it's going to be faster, one way that it's going to be faster is 2 years ago they acquired a technology, and this is all in the newsletter that you haven't had time to read because I just sent it out 30 minutes ago. But they acquired a technology about 2 years ago called Link Bubble. That was an app that you could get on smartphones. And what it did was you'd click on a link in an app or in your browser on the smartphone, and then while you went about your business doing stuff, it would load the page or whatever it was in the background so that you didn't have to sit there and look at a blank screen on a slow connection. And so there's an Android technology blog that's speculating that that's going into the Brave browser technology, because it's now been revealed that those are the guys that bought the company, the app. So that's going to cause some performance issues for people around the world. Then they're promising better security, because they're going to use HTTPS everywhere, which is an extension that you can download into your browsers now. But basically, if you go to an HTTPS website and the website is still linking to HTTP resources, it'll convert those links to HTTPS resources.
Sure.
Hopefully it looks to see if those exist, because right now on a lot of websites they don't exist. That's why you still have HTTP links. But that's basically a man-in-the-middle attack. But it's from the good guys, so therefore it's safe. And then they're going to solve the advertising problem, because they're going to block all the ads, or as many of them as they can, and replace them with their own ads that are served anonymously through a cloud-based service. So how those advertisers, I'm not sure how the publishers who are trying to make money off these ads are going to get any of that money. I'm not sure how the advertisers who want to be on these websites are going to get customers. And I'm not sure how people using the browser are going to be any happier with the advertising experience. So basically, you have a resource hogging, faster loading, man-in-the-middle attack, advertising replacing browser on the way.
Wow. Interesting.
And it's getting a lot of press. So, and then the other thing that I could talk about is there's a new technology coming. It's called Adswipe. It's not really about advertising. It's a search. It's an interactive search technology. And I haven't downloaded the app. Right now it's only available as an app on a smartphone called Job Swipe. So if you're looking for a job, you go in and it'll show you some listings, and you swipe left or right to tell it if you like the listing or not. And so you're kind of like rejecting listings out of hand and saving some listings. And as you go along doing this, it learns from your choices what you're kind of looking for. And so this will be much faster. They claim it's 4 times faster than anything Google can do at the moment.
4 times faster, wow.
Yeah, I mean, the closest Google can come to in normal search is personalized search. You log in, and you start searching on stuff, and you click on things, and Google remembers what you click on and starts showing you more things like that. But that takes more time. With the Adswipe technology, he claims it's almost instantaneous. Whereas with Google, it's not only not instantaneous, it sticks. So you can go back weeks later, run a query looking for different stuff, and you're going to see the same old crap that Google showed you 3 weeks ago. And it takes Google time to learn not to show you that stuff. So the interactive search technology industry is kind of in its infancy, and there's a lot of room for improvement. And this looks like it might be a step forward. He's going to do. He's launching apps for cars and homes and things like that. And so he says he's not trying to break in, not trying to compete with Google for web search. He doesn't have the resources to do that. But it does sound like he might license the technology to a lot of e-commerce websites and things like that. So I could see Amazon, for example, taking something like that. You type a query into Amazon, and as you swipe stuff away, it learns very quickly what you're not interested in. Out of stock stuff, things priced higher than a certain price, or things priced lower than a certain price, things that ship from overseas, things that have a shipping charge. You can say I do or don't want this simply by what you pick. And the search technology behind this interface will figure out what it is that you like and what you don't like very quickly. So that could, if it takes off, revolutionize the way we interact with all sorts of websites. So I went into I actually wrote a technology case study in the newsletter and go into detail about how interfaces like this have been brought out in the past and how they worked and why they failed and things like that. So that was kind of an interesting discovery for me. So,
well, it sounds exciting because I think it really puts it goes in the direction of putting the user in control of what they get to experience, right?
Yeah.
And be selective about it. So, and to be honest, I mean, some sites can be very noisy, right? So, and so it would be interesting too if just like you can look at the click rate and time spent, and in some cases eye tracking in some browsers. Maybe they can tie data to that and use it as much as a A/B testing tool as anything, right?
Yeah.
Because it really, whatever you end up with is really gives you the core of what people care about.
Yeah, those are very noisy signals, though. I'm not real thrilled with like dwell time. There are a lot of problems with dwell time, and Bing is the only company that openly say that they use it, and they say they only use it in certain contexts without telling us what the contexts are. So obviously they found it to be a noisy signal. Whereas if the user's going, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this, it's not quite so noisy. There could still be some false positives and false negatives if you swipe the wrong way, but I think it'd be a much cleaner signal to work with. And so that kind of thing could take off if you could like integrate it across platforms. And I'll give you an example. Last November, I bought another TV, and we looked for very specific. So it was a secondary TV, and so first I settled for a 32-incher, and then I took it back and got a 40-incher. But we went to multiple websites: Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, Target, and we looked at their television listings, and their search interfaces are really, really bad, really bad. They didn't really show us what we wanted. Drilling down to what the best options at each place was a time-consuming experience. We ran multiple queries, then we had to go out to the stores, and we had to look at the models and the details and all that stuff. And we ended up buying a 40-incher for a really good price, but it took a long time to settle on what we were going to buy and where we were going to buy it. And this kind of a search interface, if it were running as a kind of a meta site search tool where multiple retailers somehow were backing it up, so that you could look at multiple inventories. And there are some web search e-commerce search websites out there now that let you do this. They'll compare prices on different retailers and things like that. But if you could do that interactively and very quickly teach the algorithm what you don't want and what you do want, I think it would make shopping a much nicer experience for us. Not sure if the retailers would like it, but
right. Especially if you were doing away with the ads, right?
Yeah. So we'll just have to wait and see. Both these technologies are pretty young, and we'll just have to wait and see who likes them and who doesn't like them.
Yeah, I think it could be very disruptive, especially if ad blocking or certainly ad limiting is part of that process.
Yeah, there is an ongoing war between ad blockers and advertisers, and the guy who does ad blocker was just thrown out of a Interactive Advertising Bureau's conference this month without explanation. So who knows what was going on behind there? And then as soon as that news broke and everybody jumped them for being, intolerant and all this, they came back with a new press release saying, "Oh, but we've invited some other ad blocking person to come sit on our panel." But one of my projects lately has been how to get past ad blockers without being an annoying prat. I don't like these websites that pop up sign up forms and things like that. And I mean, Randy and I have talked about, should we do this on some of our sites, and we haven't really come to a decision yet, because where we are looking for signups, we tend to get them with the traditional way, and they're still slightly better than the pop-ups. A pop-up would just be a second channel that would bring in more signups. But ad blockers don't do pop-ups very well, and so I don't want to resort to pop-ups. I also don't want to violate advertising network guidelines. So the kinds of ads that I would want to get on the page, despite the presence of an ad blocker, are inside my network ads. Just promoting my own stuff. And I did figure out a way to do it. I wrote a case study about it in the newsletter. It's not a universal solution, so you couldn't take this idea and use it to get your Google AdSense to show up, past an ad blocker or something like that. But it's a way of positioning content where people will see it, regardless of whether they're running an ad blocker. And I decided that the best choice for me would be to do this at the bottom of the page. Because at that point, people have seen the information, and if they just see another banner advertisement that the ad blocker missed, then fine. I think they'll be more receptive to it. So I'm testing it on a few sites, and we'll see.
Yeah, that sounds interesting, and certainly. Are you actually running the ad blockers so you can see what the actual result is?
I have 2 ad blockers in Chrome, and even with 2, I still get onto websites that are able to beat them. So I mean, it's amazing. Sometimes I'm not sure what they're blocking, because I'll load a page and the blockers will say we're blocking 25 resources. I'm going, there's no way there's 25 ads on this page. So I'll turn the blockers off and let the ads load. Sometimes I can count, 16, 18, 20 ads. A lot of the time, I'm not sure what it is that they're blocking. It might be tracking pixels and things like that.
Right.
And so people are being really aggressive with their advertising, and they made this mess. It's not just that the advertisers came up with all these goofy ad formats. The publishers got greedy. You don't need 25 ads on a page. If you're not making money off your advertising, throwing more advertising on the page is kind of covering up the problem. I would rather find out which ads work best and just focus on those, because I know people aren't clicking on all the ads. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So Randy and I, we kind of have an agreement on the websites that we develop. We look for advertising efficiency, and we don't want to put a lot of ads on the page, because a lot of affiliate advertising websites get penalized. And I firmly believe that a lot of it is due simply to the fact that they're just, filling up their pages with ads, with text links and things.
Sure, that's true.
And so I don't want to be the next affiliate guy that got thrown out of Google search results. So Well, we're pushing up on 30 minutes here. You got anything else you want to talk about?
I talked a little bit with you about, the behavior of, people behaving badly on forums, and how companies are not enforcing those a little bit. I think we can probably leave that for another time, because that's a long discussion. And but this was really good. I enjoyed, sort of talking through the ad blocking technology, and how that trend is moving. I did see uh, some e-marketer stats showing the growth in digital advertising versus total advertising spend. I think in this case it was just doing UK, but clearly growing as a total percentage, right? I think it was like 49% of total advertising spent
Yeah.
was digital in some form. So I think that's a big trend. Clearly, it's moving to online, and not necessarily away from offline, but I think the percentage is shifting, and shifting based on where people are at, right? Where they're actually consuming their entertainment, their daily readership, things like that.
Yeah. We're probably moving towards more interactive websites, and we might have been there sooner if Flash hadn't fallen behind
Mm-hmm.
on security. Adobe, I don't know when Adobe stopped supporting Flash, but now even they're telling people to take Flash off their websites. But
Mm-hmm.
we're going to eventually have interactive websites that are being run by powerful. I don't want to call them AIs, but agents. That's an old term from 20, 25 years ago. But the
Mm-hmm.
software will be smart enough to interact with people, and they'll be able to program ads into it. So your website will say, "Hi, welcome to SEO Theory. What can I do for you? I'd like to find out about link building." Okay, we have these articles over here. By the way, you can subscribe to the SEO Theory newsletter for $28 a month and get new linking ideas. Just smooth. But here are your websites. Here are your articles. I think that's where we're all going eventually. It's not quite
Yeah.
around the corner.
Do you think it'll get built into WordPress?
Oh yeah. Once the technology is available, those WordPress guys will definitely put it in there. I mean, it's amazing what you can do with a WordPress blog now. I don't even do half the stuff that you can do with them, but
Mm-hmm.
because there's just so much. It's WordPress is. I guess it was originally promoted as like blogging for people who don't want to be techno geeks or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's totally a geek environment. You can just put all sorts of crud on your WordPress blog, and it'll sing and dance and wave and do stuff. The latest thing that I almost experimented with was embeddable content. Now WordPress has supported embeddable content for years, but now you can take like somebody else's blog post, just link to it, and bam, you get this excerpt and this beautiful box, and the featured image is there, and it looks great.
Almost like a Facebook reference.
Well, I think that's where they got the idea from.
Mm-hmm.
And I've debated, should I do this or not? So far, I'm not doing it, but more and more people are going to do it because you can already embed videos, and you can embed audio files, and all sorts of images and stuff. It's going to go more and more towards a curated content kind of thing. And some of the
Mm-hmm.
curated content will actually be provided by the website server. It just somebody has to figure out how to get a widget or something on there.
Mm-hmm.
There's We use a plugin called Ad Injection, which the ad blockers can identify. I don't want to give the wrong impression, but Ad Injection does stuff that most of the advertising plugins don't do. And it's kind of an older plugin, and we're always getting warnings about how it's possibly not going to be compatible with the next version of WordPress and things like this. And so I'm constantly looking for something that can do what Ad Injection does, which is basically it'll put stuff anywhere on the page, anywhere. And most advertising plugins are limited to widgets in the sidebar or widget areas at the bottom of the page or the top of the page. You can't really do stuff inside the page unless you use shortcodes. And that means you have to go and manually embed the shortcode yourself on all your articles. Ad injection just puts the ads in there for you. You can exclude pages and categories. And I mean, it's a great tool. It's just a little bit outdated, and it does other things that I haven't mentioned. But I've been looking for something to, as a fallback plan to replace it. And we're not there yet, but I could actually take ad injection and use it to create content, not just throw ads onto the page. And in some ways I've done that already in a very limited scale. But there are other things that we also work with to do this too. At any rate, I guess we've got 30 minutes in again. So it's great talking to you.
Always a pleasure, Michael.
We'll try and do this again next week, folks. So hang in there. Bye.